Hi, welcome to Dr. Costine's commentary. I'm Dr. Lauren Costine, and I'm really glad you joined me today. So I've been doing a number of series on LGBT history and myth, and I want to continue with that today. And I do want to say that, I know that I'm making sometimes some generalizations, or I'm skipping over some, specific components, but the references to all of the things that I'm talking about, there's going to be a list of that on my website. So if you are interested in any of the things that I talk about, please go to that reference list, and there's a number of books on all of this that, if you really like this, you'll find really interesting. So I wanted to kind of segue from the Roman Empire. I'd spoken a little bit in an earlier segment about the Roman Empire and its misogyny and homophobia and the impact that that had on Western civilization, because a lot of Western civilization comes from classical Greece and then the Roman Empire. So what happened is the Roman Empire, as we know, was in power for 800 years, something like that, and a warrior type culture, and very violent and brutal in many ways, as we know, very misogynistic and homophobic. And that's a long time to rule with that kind of mindset and mentality. But what was going on within that culture was there was some spiritual discontent for a long time. They had a lot of god and goddesses, and what some of the reports say is that there were just kind of too many, and they couldn't keep track of them all, and they had to pay tithing to a lot of them, and this just wasn't working for people anymore. So around, as we know, the beginning of the Common Era, a man named Jesus was born, and he was, talking about a different kind of spirituality based on a monotheistic God, one God, not many gods. And he spoke of love. So this was the first time that someone had really spoken of love in this way, and he had a lot of lessons of how to try to have more empathy, basically, for other people than just yourself. And this message was carried to Rome, as we know, by St. Paul, who I'll talk about in another segment. And it started to get a bit of a hold within some people. We also know that the early Christians were tortured and killed, and it was a very brutal time for the changeover. But what happened was Constine, who was the emperor of the Roman Empire at the end of its term, got a hold of Christianity. He learned about it, he studied it. He was still a pagan, that's a term we use today, but he was still a pagan himself. But it's surmised that he converted, basically, for lack of a better term, to Christianity sort of at the end of his life. And he basically, to kind of summarize quickly, he turned the Roman Empire into Christianity. He named it the official Christian religion, and and then he kind of died shortly after that. So then it became the official religion, and it was it was an interesting time, because now everyone was worshiping one God instead of these many gods. Now, of course, the transformation around something like that is or the transition around something like that is going to take a long time to go from believing many gods to one God. But it eventually happened, as we know. And what came with that was the misogyny and the homophobia was brought along with that. So that's an important component. And then St. Paul also was a big piece of what later became the homophobic, misogynistic, lesbian-phobic, biphobic, and transphobic culture that we have today. So in the next segment, I'd like to talk a bit about the forefathers of Christianity to help further describe what actually happened to our culture that we know today. Thank you.